Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to today's Best Practices webinar. Glad to be with all of you today. My name's Carter Bish. You probably saw my face before in a training or perhaps on the invite for today's webinar. Really, really glad that you all are here. Whether it is first thing in the morning, maybe second thing in the morning, afternoon or evening, we're glad you're taking some time to spend it with us. Spend some time learning about how you guys can level up your productivity in Hi Marley. We'll give it a minute or so here while folks are coming in so that we can leave the station with as many folks as possible. Just a couple housekeeping things before we get going. Today's session is being recorded. A digital Zoom woman might have mentioned that to you when you joined today's call. We are going to be sending that to everyone after today's session so you can reference it, share it, and so forth. If you have any comments as we go through today's topics, there will be polls in between each section after we talk about introducing texting, case creation, notifications, and first contact. So you can let us know how you were feeling before today's webinar and how the content has either improved or maybe brought down your confidence. We want to hear your thoughts. And I'm sure plenty of you will have questions about the content that we're talking about too. So we'll have a live Q&A following up all of those content items at the end before we close up today's call. All right, thanks again to everyone who's joined in the interim. My name is Carter Bish. Glad to have you all with us today. We'll be getting started here very shortly. Not sure what everyone's afternoon or morning beverage is of choice, but mine is tea. I've got some mint tea accompanying me in the Hi Marley Boston office today. All right, folks, we're on the starting block. Let's go ahead and fire that gun and start off the race, the how to up your productivity game with Hi Marley webinar part 1. Again, if you didn't hear, my name is Carter Bish. I'm Hi Marley's onboarding specialist, and I'm very excited to be with all of you today. We've got lots and lots of folks on today's call to learn about how you can up your productivity, improve the way that you use Hi Marley, and ultimately improve your claims experience, your insurance experience, and that of the other parties that you're communicating with. We will have polls in between each of today's sections, which you guys can see here, to allow you to share your comments and your feelings about today's content, as well as what you might like to learn more about or what might be keeping you from doing these best practices well. We'd love to follow up with you and help you to succeed. And if you have any questions, please do reach out to us via the Q&A in the Zoom call. For those of us who are new to Zoom, just take a look on your screen on the Zoom call, maybe move your cursor around, and you should see a Q&A icon. By clicking in there, you can type in your question. That will be submitted to the Q&A, and our moderators might surface that up later on, perhaps in the live Q&A, for us to talk about all together. Again, we've got lots of folks from lots of different areas of insurance with lots of different experiences in Hi Marley. So I'd really love for you guys' participation in today's call. All right. There might even be some fun trivia questions sprinkled throughout today's webinar. So keep your eyes peeled for those. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the first topic of today's webinar. This is introducing texting and opt-in. Now, whether The introduction of texting is happening during an initial contact phone call. Perhaps that's one that you yourself are doing. During an on-site visit with the other party. Or maybe the introducing texting is done via a checkbox automatically at policy creation or FNOL. One way or another, every single person who interacts with you is in some way being introduced to the idea that they can text. They didn't know, and now they know. You might be involved in this moment before texting's introduced, such that you're doing the introduction, or you might be involved afterwards. Either way, there's something for us all to learn, and we can all improve upon together. The thing that I'd like for us to focus on today in regards to introducing texting is focusing on those who, after they were introduced to it digitally, on the phone or in person, they're apprehensive. They might not trust that texting is the best solution for them and their insurance, either claim or case that's being worked on. We know, everyone on this call, that Hi Marley can reduce your phone calls between 35 and 50% and can reduce your voicemails by up to 60%. So it's no question for us that it's going to be helpful to text with that other party, and that other party is going to benefit from that efficiency too. But how can we flip this thumbs down to a thumbs up? We want to earn their trust. Now, earn is actually an acronym. It stands for empathize, advise, reassure, and notify. Empathize, to acknowledge the other party's feelings. Advise, give them advice about the insurance process that only you know. Reassure, provide additional details to comfort the other party. And also notify, which is to inform the other party of what's going to be happening next. Let's dive into each one of these and think about how you can earn another party's trust in the insurance process that you work on a day-to-day basis. Again, whether that is during the initial contact or maybe slightly after. We want to see how we can earn others' trust. Right? Empathize. How can we acknowledge the other party's feelings where they're apprehensive to text, where they're excited to text? It's quite possible that the person who you're communicating with, regardless of how you're doing it, is got their emotions in a bunch, so to speak. Maybe not feeling themselves. They might be a little bit nervous to do anything out of the ordinary. They might be on the phone with you. They want to stay on the phone with you. As of today, you might say, that's totally fine. We don't need to text. The best practice I encourage you all to use is to earn their trust with empathy. When someone suggests that they're going through a lot, they're not sure that texting is going to be best, share with them that texting is a great way to answer questions that they have. And you know that they've got lots of emotions too. They are going to be able to remain closer to you throughout the insurance process via text than through other channels. When they have an emotional need, acknowledge their emotions with some information about how texting can help. This is not the sort of thing that we want to dismiss. We don't want to say, well, you should text. It's just a good idea. Instead, incorporate what it is that they're saying to you into what you're saying to them so that they feel heard. The next letter in our acronym is A, for advise. You want to give advice to the other party about the insurance process. For those unfortunate souls that are repeat customers or repeat contacts of yours, they might know this process a little bit. But it's also possible that a brand new customer is contacting you and contacting your company for the first time. And they really don't know a whole lot about what to do next. They just know that they've got a claim and they need you to help them out. If they suggest that, I prefer phone calls for discussing the details of the insurance process, today we might say, sure, you don't need text. It sounds accommodating on first glance. We're doing what the other party's asking. But that other party might not have the whole picture. So with tact and careful word choice, we can advise them about what is in their best interest, prescriptively providing them information. You might consider saying, it's great to know that you might need quick replies. More often than not, that's where we're advising them. I can provide a faster response via text than I can through other channels to make sure that you're not left waiting. It's quite possible that other party, their tune's completely changed. Say, oh, I had no idea. I thought that phone was the only way. Or I thought that phone was at least going to be better. I know I can leave a voicemail with you, and I assume that would let you know that I'm in need. And we all know that voicemails are not always the most effective way of getting in touch with us, right? Advise the other party about the insurance process. R in our EARN acronym stands for reassure. We want to provide additional details to comfort the other party about texting. Maybe some of you have already heard this in the past. I don't want to talk to a robot or have any of my information sold to other parties. Enough of that happens already. The last thing I need is for my insurance company to do it too. And you might want to back away from the fiery emotions that individual has with just okay, we don't need to do that. Oh, that's totally fine. And there is some merit to going down that path. But I'd like to recommend that we consider reassuring the customer about texting. And when they say, I don't want to talk to a robot, I don't want you to sell my information, we reassure them by saying, I and my team will be the ones managing your texts, not a robot, not the new Atlas bot from Boston Dynamics. If anybody saw that video, very cool. These are real human beings on the other side. Your information is going to be only used for our claim or case discussion, not for marketing. We might be turned away initially by the strong feelings of this other party, but it is also an opportunity for us to draw closer to that other party, let them know a little bit more about the process, how your organization cares for them and cares for their information, and earn their trust. Last but not least is N for notify. This is where we can inform the other party of what's going to be happening next in the insurance process. They might actually agree to text. That's awesome. Either digitally or on the phone. They might ask, are we all set? Today, you might say, yes, I'll send you a text message. Just wait to hear from me. And they say, okay, you take your word. But what I would have failed to do, if that was my reply, is notify the other party of what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and the importance of those next events. For those of us who are introducing texting and capturing Hi Marley opt-in, which is consent to continue the texting thread, either through verbal or a digital means, we know that there's also a Hi Marley opt-in, a secondary one that has to be done digitally, that they need to reply yes. Why not notify that other party when they say, are we all set? You say, yes, you are all set. in just a moment, you're going to be receiving a welcome message with my company's name. You can reply yes, and maybe you can do that while we're still here in person, on the phone, or exchanging information online. That way we can make sure that we receive that Hi Marley opt-in as well as the first opt-in together at once in a trusted way. Nobody will be caught off guard by maybe unexpected text messages that really you talked with them about an hour ago and they just forgot. They got busy. Okay. 4 letters, EARN. We want to earn the trust of other parties. And when someone is not interested in texting, they say no, they might give you an opportunity to share with them a little bit more about the process, to empathize with them and how they're feeling, or for you to keep them in the loop about what's going to be happening next. Encourage you all to earn the trust of some folks today. That concludes our portion on introducing texting and opt-in. I do hope that all of that has been very valuable for all of you. And I'd actually love for you to tell me how helpful that content has been in the poll you should see on your screen now. And also, I've got some trivia for us. So while you're filling out that poll, or maybe once you're done, we've got a trivia question for you all to consider. We were talking about opt-in, and we're talking about introducing texting. As of this month, what is the fastest Hi Marley opt-in ever recorded? All right. Let's go ahead and consider this. Oh, I've revealed my... This is embarrassing, everyone. This is embarrassing. Well, we'll let that clock go down and you can consider what the answer to this question is for a little bit. I will not be so easy on you guys for the next trivia question, that's for sure. But since we were founded in 2017, you can see on the left-hand side our fastest opt-in. It's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. Now that you have the answer, you've got plenty of extra time to fill out that quick poll on the screen. Silly me, fat-fingered. Won't happen again. So don't think that you guys are going to get the answer so easily next time. All right, we'll let that countdown finish. It'd be so unsatisfying if I left before it hit 0, right? Go ahead and finish up whatever comments you have for us. We'd love to know what might be difficult for you about introducing texting so we can help and maybe cover it in the next webinar. Okay. Let's talk about the next item of today's best practices webinar. Case creation. Much like introducing texting, folks on today's webinar, they might be participating before cases are made, where you yourself are creating the case, or you might be joining in on a case that's already been created. Either way, I want you all to be thinking about how we can create cases more effectively. I encourage you to put comments and questions about case creation in the Q&A and in the poll at the end of this section. My first recommendation to those of you who do create cases is to proactively draft a case before it is to be submitted. You might draft this case while you're on the phone or even while you're on site before you might have created a case as soon as you receive the opt-in. We might consider getting it ready instead. Someone says that they'd love to text. We say, great, just one moment while I make that case for you. And then you and the other party maybe stand quietly or spend some quality time on the phone together while you spin it up, right? Don't get me wrong, cases are not difficult to make. They only take a few seconds. But the next time someone says they'd love to text, Imagine the experience that that other party would have if it was already ready to go. You were able to have the case drafted and said, great, immediately after they said that they wanted to text. Can you confirm the number that we're speaking on is the best way to text you? Give it a quick tweak in the case creation modal if it does need to be modified. And then you're receiving a text right now. That is a night and day experience, in my opinion. The difference between 1 second and 60 seconds is pretty long when you're making first impressions. It's going to save you time. It's going to save the other party time. You won't lose any of that social momentum that you've built up, maybe cracking a couple jokes, or maybe not. It's not maybe the right time in the insurance process. Totally fair if that's true. If you can't tell, I do like to have a little bit of humor sprinkled in amongst things just to keep the spirits light. And it also is going to communicate that you care. The speed at which you communicate and move the process along is an indicator of that. For those of us who are creating these cases, we might also like to share over the phone the Marley number or the phone number that that text message is going to come from while we're on the line. And drafting that case ahead of time is going to make it even easier for us to quickly give that number to the other party we're on the phone with. Where before, if it already is going to take us a minute to create the case, well, it's going to take us maybe another minute to find out that what that Marley number is. That might be longer than you want to keep them on the line or in front of you. Consider drafting a Hi Marley case ahead of time. Did you know that Hi Marley has a mobile app? There are lots of different ways to use our platform. We can have a web application. We have many integrations with our customers that allow them to have SMS threads in their system of record. And we also have a mobile app that you can put in your pocket and bring with you on site. Where today you might have said, they said, I'd love to text, and you'd be like, okay, great. Just wait. I'll drive a couple hours back to the office and I'll send you that welcome message from my computer. That is not the case for you any longer. Whether you have an Apple phone or an Android phone, our mobile application is available to you. And, you know, what a big difference that would make to be able to take what would be 2 hours and make it 60 seconds. You know, we're thinking about that time saving drafting a case. This is an even greater time saving for those of us who thought that Hi Marley was pinned to our desktop computers. Next time someone says they'd love to text with you and a mobile app is more available to you than your desktop computer is, you can let them know. I'll create a case for you right now with my phone while we're together. And don't forget to notify them about what's going to happen next and what they need to do in order to continue with you. If the mobile app is something that's of interest to you that you have not used, please do reach out to your direct manager or Hi Marley administrator at your organization to see the best way to download the app. It's possible that it can be downloaded through the App Store, or maybe it's best that it be deployed to your work phone for you by the organization. They can help answer that question for you. Surprise segment in our case creation content. Did you know? You probably knew that you could create cases from Hi Marley's web app via the Cases tab. This is where the case creation button has been for some time, and it's never been very far away. Cases tab, you see it on the navigation bar. You see the Create Case button right next to it. But what you might not have known is that Hi Marley has an alternative configuration for our web app that has moved the case creation button to another place. One that we think is a little bit easier for those of you who are creating cases manually, a little bit more streamlined, and 1 or 2 fewer clicks in your workday. Hi Marley has an alternative configuration that you can create cases from the Chats tab. where you're already sending and receiving messages during your workday. This is a really, really great way to reduce some unnecessary clicks in your day-to-day work. I know when I'm thinking about my time in a past life at an insurance company, efficiency was everything. So even clicking to another tab to create a case would be something that I would be looking to cut out of my work. Every second counts. I actually have an example here of what it looks like to create a case via the chats tab, and it's going to go by fast. You know that cases are made real quick. So take a look at the screen here and see how easy it is to pull up Hi Marley and create a case. You're on the phone or you're received opt-in via another channel and you're going in to create a case. It's as easy as click, click. Chats, create case. And even cooler is once you're done creating the case, where is it going to take you? Back to the chats tab where you already were. No longer would you be sent to the cases tab where you then need to click back to the chats tab to see the cases. Do you see that? You're in chats, you create the case, you're still in chats. Super, super cool. Some folks on today's webinar, you're probably very familiar with this button. It's configured for your org. Glad that it has been, if that's the case. You guys are already seeing the efficiencies of it. If that is not the case for you, please do in the poll for case creation, if that's something that's of interest to you. And also share with us what you think about the case creation best practices that we've talked about. Right? And if I'm lucky, I will not improperly move through my animations. Let's go ahead and have a go at this. Right? So, as of this month, trivia question. How many Hi Marley cases have been created? How many Hi Marley cases have been created? Wish me luck here, gang. That's the stuff. Not going to be so easy on you this time. Give you a minute here. Go ahead and fill out that quick poll and consider, as of this month, how many Hi Marley cases have been created? I'll give a hint to you all in just a few seconds. There's your hint. How many Hi Marley cases have been created? As of today, Hi Marley has 94 customers. That's a lot of customers to be making cases. Tens of thousands? Trillions? You're about to find out. How many cases have been created to date? 9.8 million cases have been made in Hi Marley to date since our founding in 2017. Whether they be automatic or made manually by folks like yourselves, you guys are a part of a very, very large community that is creating tons of cases and providing tons of lovable experiences to insurance policyholders, customers alike. Thank you all for filling out the poll in the Zoom chat. We're very excited to hear from you. If you have any questions about case creation, don't forget, you can click in the Zoom menu bar, Q&A, and share your thoughts with us. Notifications. It's the next topic we're going to cover together. This is an incredibly important way that we interact with apps. And that extends beyond Hi Marley too. When we are grabbing our phones, when we are waking up in the morning with an alarm, we want to know when things are happening so that we know what next steps to take. I have some notification best practices I'd like to share with all of you so that you can level up your productivity in Hi Marley. The first is enabling browser notifications. We've got a great article we're going to put in the chat. If you're not familiar with what browser notifications are, I highly recommend it. It's a great read. very short. But what you'll find is that if you're using Hi Marley's web application, you can enable a notification to appear over top of all of your tabs on your computer. And I know that what I'm saying might sound like magic to some of you, and it kind of is. Today, we are just using maybe the blue dots in our inbox, or we're getting a chime perhaps if we have that configured. But as soon as we click to another tab or we pull up another window on top of Hi Marley, there's no way of knowing if we have a new message. With browser notifications, when an inbound message comes in, you'll be the first to know. This is an example of what that browser notification can look like, popping up over top of your window, regardless of which browsers you have open or applications. At Hi Marley, we care about making insurance lovable for you and the other parties you're communicating with. And it's not very lovable to have to click through 10 different windows just to check notifications. This is one way that you can level up your productivity in Hi Marley. Here's an example from Hi Marley's page of where that browser notification lives. Here you see it over top of Hi Marley, but it would have appeared with any number of tabs on top. In the chat, you'll also find an article for how to enable these notifications. Please do take a look at that. Just a couple of simple, easy steps. Really, really want for you all to, if you're in the web app, to leverage these. It's a huge time save. But blue dots, browser notifications, aren't the only way that you can hear from Hi Marley. We also have email notifications. And it's possible that as of today, much like the person in the top right, you actually haven't received very many, or maybe any email notifications from Hi Marley. Now, if you think about how many Hi Marley cases you're involved in, and that gives you pause or surprise, maybe it's time to reconfigure your email notifications so that you see more of what you expected, so you can be more attentive to the other parties you're communicating with. Or perhaps, I hope that this makes some of us on this call chuckle, you're getting way too many emails from Hi Marley about things going on in the app. This is also totally a possibility that the work that you're doing, you prefer notifications in another way. And the last thing you need is another email in your inbox. How can we resolve this? We can use email notification configurations to change, to increase or decrease the amount of emails we're receiving from the app. This is very simple and easy to do as well. We've got an article that can help you to configure your notifications. We'll put it in the chat for you, which I will share along with the recording. So no need to hastily copy and paste that into a Word doc for yourself, or heaven forbid you're trying to write down the URL. Please don't do that. We'll share all of this with you after the fact. By changing your email configuration, you can get just what you need and nothing more. Everything important and no clutter. If you're using the mobile app, consider modifying your notifications there too, so that you can receive notifications while you're on the go. Once you receive a notification, did you know? In Hi Marley's web app, we have a My Insights landing page for you. If you get the notification and you show up to Hi Marley, but you're not quite sure what to do next, consider looking at these metrics: open conversations, unanswered opt-ins, waiting on opt-in, and response recommended, to triage the cases that you have open. You never want to be overwhelmed when you're communicating with others. This is a great way to triage and reorganize your work in a way that's more manageable. For example, if there are a number of cases that have been created in the last week, and I had to step away for this super cool webinar with this silly guy named Carter, I might show up to Hi Marley's web app and see that my unanswered opt-ins or cases that have been opted into that I haven't replied to yet have gone up. Rather than going through my inbox case by case or going to my email notifications and clicking on them one by one, why not just click on view chats and be taken to Hi Marley's chats tab with all of those cases filtered for me? Send a message, send a message, send a message, and be done in minutes, maybe even seconds. Once you have your notifications configured as you like them, consider leveraging My Insights if you're in the web app to speed up your next best action. Now, the next best action for all of you is to fill out the next poll in regards to notifications. How did you feel about notifications? How do you feel about notifications now? And what's something that gives you trouble around notifications? That would be great to hear from you so we can make new webinars about more notification best practices and also follow up you after the fact. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the next trivia question. As of this month, we're talking about notifications. How many Hi Marley messages have been sent in total? We'll put a minute on the clock for everybody. Go ahead and fill out the quick poll and consider how many messages have been sent using Hi Marley. We can think back to the other hints that were that Hi Marley was founded in 2017. We've got 94 customers right now. How many messages do we think have been sent using Hi Marley to date? And I've got a really helpful hint for you all coming up here. Hint: the first transatlantic telegraph cable was successfully completed on July 27th in 1866. Nah, I'm just pulling all of your legs. That actually isn't a very helpful hint for this trivia question, but it is an interesting fact, don't you think? Got 10 more seconds. I promise for our last trivia question, I'll give you a real hint. Pinky promise. All right, so what do you think? Please do put it in the poll. What do you think about the trivia question? Put your answers in your mind now. The number of messages that have been sent via Hi Marley is not 9.8 million, but 98 million messages. Almost unfathomable at this point, the number of messages that have been sent. But I'm sure by the time we flip over to the next month, it's going to be even higher than this. All thanks to folks like yourselves on this call who are using Hi Marley day to day. Hope gave you all a little chuckle with that hint. I had good fun learning a little bit about transatlantic telegraph cables. Okay, but less about old-timey communication. Back to the cutting-edge Hi Marley insurance communication. The first or the last topic that we'll be covering today is first contact. Now, folks on today's webinar probably think about first contact in a lot of different ways. So it's worth understanding, what do you mean, Carter, when you're talking about first contact? Now, what I'm talking about when I say first contact is first Hi Marley contact. That is the first human message that's sent in response to someone who's opted into texting. So we aren't thinking about the standard operating procedures of your organization unless you have some set up for texting. Instead, we're thinking about that first message that you're sending in response to an opted-in party. The reason why we're talking about it today is because first contact has been found to be very, very important for consumer loyalty, satisfaction, and productivity in Hi Marley. Let's take a quick look at some statistics together. 81% of consumers, other parties, feel loyal to brands that they're there when they need them. Say that again for all of our sakes. Consumers feel loyal to brands that are there when they need them. And how else do we track when someone is there for us digitally? If they aren't physically in front of us, how else do we track it than the timeliness of messages? The average customer satisfaction score on surveys that mentioned response time was 4.9 out of 5, I'll add, which is really, really good. When people have something to say about response time, it's usually positive. And what about top performers in Hi Marley? 80% of cases of top performers had a Hi Marley first contact of less than 3.5 hours. Regardless of what their standard operating procedure is for their team, for their organization, this is a trend that we found. Productive, high-performing Hi Marley users are productive, high-performing first contact senders. And I encourage all of you to try to emulate that as well. In order to speed up your first contact, consider leveraging message templates. For those of you that might not know, message templates are pre-written canned messages made by your organization, shared with everyone at your organization that you can click on and have them pasted into your Hi Marley message thread to easily send off to the other party. Today, when an opt-in text is sent, you might go ahead and manually compose the message yourself, saying hi, sending it off. That's your first contact. But as you can see here, now we've got our Hi Marley teal up, that I've got an alternative for you. And it's using Hi Marley's message templates to automate, to semi-automate that process. Simply click on the message template button you see in the center bottom of the screen if you're in the web app, and search for and click on the template that's right for you. If you're in the mobile app, you'll find the exact same message template button there. And if you're using Hi Marley in an integrated way, you can reach out to your direct manager, Hi Marley admin, and they can direct you to the message templates within your system of record too. Again, we want to speed up the time to first contact because it's going to provide trust to that other party. It's going to provide a better satisfaction score. Some folks are, getting graded on your customer satisfaction. We want to drive that up. And we want to be top performers. That's why we're all here today, right? Message templates can lend you a big hand. If you have any questions about message templates, maybe how to create a new one, please do reach out to your direct manager or Hi Marley admin for help. We've got some polls to be put back into the Zoom chat. You guys are poll masters at this point. And we've also got some trivia. As of this month, last trivia question, let's make it a good one. How many times have Hi Marley message templates been clicked? Let's go ahead, answer the poll, and also think about our trivia question. After we're done with this trivia question, we're going to go into our live Q&A. So don't forget, you can put questions in the Q&A portion. We'll talk about them together. You might have comments about a message templates and first contact too. Please do put that in the poll. I would love to hear from you. A hint as we're thinking about how many times message templates have been used. In just the last 30 days, message templates have been clicked on 22.2 thousand times in the web application. So what about integrated clicks or mobile clicks? Those are good questions to answer. But there isn't much time left to think about it because we've got the answer coming up on the left-hand side. How many times have Hi Marley message templates been clicked? A whopping 2.5 million templates. Can you tell I like making trivia questions about big numbers? 2.5 billion templates. That's 2.5 million messages made a little bit faster. Customer experience is made a little bit more positive. First contact done a little bit quicker than it was before. Encourage all of you to go and find out what templates are available to you today. And also to reach out to your direct manager or Hi Marley admin to see if maybe they can lend a hand and create a template that you think would be really helpful for you. All right, folks, that concludes the content portion of today's webinar. For the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to do a live Q&A where I'll be jumping into the question and answer section where you guys have all been sending in your questions about today's content and providing my best practices for you, trying to answer those questions to make sure that you don't have anything between you and improve productivity in the app. You're also going to see a survey up here. This is a conclusory survey for the webinar. Please do write your questions first, but once you're done and you're waiting to hear about my answer to it, you can be sharing your feedback about today's webinar while we're all together. You should see that pop up on your screen shortly. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the chat. Please do submit your questions and fill out your answer to the survey. All right, we have our first question in. Thank you so much for submitting this. The question, how do you resend a welcome text when someone isn't opting in? This is a really great question. Sometimes by their forgetfulness or maybe unsure of what next steps to take. After an initial welcome message is sent on a Hi Marley case, you might not get a response, or you might not get it as fast as you expect it. Hi Marley has what we call a resend welcome message feature. This can be triggered manually in the case via the web app, or it can also be automated. So to best answer your question, do reach out to your team lead, your direct manager or Marley administrator to see if there are any automatic resend welcome messages configured for your team. And if not, please do use our web application to click on the resend welcome message button or use the resend welcome message button via integration too. Again, opt-in is really important to make sure that we have folks who want to text texting until they send that second Hi Marley opt-in. We won't be able to do that. Great question. Keep them coming, everyone. Another great question. The question is, what happens when I read a message? If another representative from my team looks at a message, is it going to become red for me too? This is a really, really great one, I think, because Hi Marley is built as a communication and collaboration platform for insurance companies. So we encourage you to be interacting with one another's cases as much as your role sees fit. And of course, as long as it adheres to your direct manager and Hi Marley administrators' standard operating procedures. If you read a Hi Marley message, it will not appear as read for another user. So if I sign in and I look at a case and a coworker of mine signs in and they have not clicked on that case since the message has been sent, they'll still have the blue dot. They'll still be able to see it as if it has not been seen at all. Also, fun fact about whether a message is read or unread, you can make a message unread via the chat thread that you have open in Hi Marley. That's a great way if you looked at a message and you like to use those blue dots to keep track of next actions, you can come back to it later. And again, that is you specific. It won't change the red status for anybody else at the organization. Great questions, everyone. Keep them coming. Another question we have. So our claims system is integrated with Hi Marley. That's awesome through Guidewire. Will all the notification options still apply for me? Depending on your workflow and depending on the extent of the integration, it's possible that you won't need a lot of the other notification methods in order to stay up to date on the cases that you're assigned. Through the Guidewire integrations, you might very well have activities created for new messages or activities that are taking place. So please do take a look at the type of integration that you have and assess for yourself, or reach out to a team leader or direct manager, Hi Marley admin, to see what the best fit might be for you. You can certainly leverage email notifications. And some integrations might still leverage the Hi Marley web app for some parts of the Hi Marley workflow. But it's up to your organization to see what the best fit is for them and the best fit for you as well. Great, great question. Thank you all for sending in these questions. Please do keep them coming, everybody. Another one through the Q&A. Thanks for sending this. Will there be additional options for viewing photos sent in messages? Currently, I'm unable to zoom into photos and have to download them to view. This is a great question because media is a big part of many of the claim and insurance processes that we're working through, and as adjusters, as insurance professionals. One of the ways we can interact with media is in the web app. By clicking on it, we can zoom in and out using Control+, Command+, or if you're using a trackpad, zooming in with your fingers. That might be the perfect alternative to downloading the photo and zooming in that way. Some other alternatives you might consider are the media bin located in the web app, the transcript located in the web app, also the mobile app. By tapping on a photo, you can see an enlarged version of it. And media files might also be integrated for you into your system of record. So you might check there as well to see if you can see a better resolution more easily and also quicker in your workflow. A couple fewer clicks can go a long way. And want to know what's best for you? Those are a couple options you might consider trying. Now that we've gone through a couple questions, we have deployed the survey. Again, this is the entire webinar survey. If you don't have any questions, but you want to share your feedback about today's call or about the quality of my jokes, no, please do. You can tell us about the webinar and the content first, of course. You can fill out the survey that's appeared on your screen. Tell us how you liked it, what you'd like to see more, what you'd like to see differently. As you can tell, question and answer, feedback is a big part of how Hi Marley operates. We'd love to involve you in that process today and in the future. Another question in the chat. How do we change phone numbers for customers that may be incorrect for a case? The phone number that a case is created with is not a static field, meaning you do have the ability to change it. If you are in Hi Marley's web application, you can open the case and go to the Details tab. If you are integrated, there might be a field in the system of record that you can modify in order to automatically update Hi Marley's field. If you're integrated, please do reach out to a direct manager or Hi Marley admin to know for sure. Whether you're using the web app or an integration to change this field, it is worth noting that if the number is modified and you save the change, Hi Marley will request opt-in via our app a second time. Regardless of the circumstances, whether it was an incorrect number or a new phone, perhaps in the middle of a claim, maybe a claim involved a phone being lost or damaged and they needed a new number, they didn't port it over. We are going to request that they opt into that new mobile number. So consider notifying, thinking about earning the trust of the person who we're communicating with, notify them that they're going to receive that opt-in message again, so they aren't confused or upset. Can individual operators set their own templates, or are they only set at an org level? All message templates are set at an organization level or line of business level. An administrator at your organization can configure these for you and for everyone. Everybody at your organization shares the same templates. Some organizations have set up lines of business for Hi Marley. If that is configured for your organization, then you can have templates specific to different types of workflows. So you do not need to search or pin quite as many templates so that they're relevant and available for you. It's another great thing to talk about with your direct manager or Hi Marley admin. Do we have lines of business? Can we use line of business templates? It can speed up the searching of templates so that you can speed up the time to value for the other party. This next question, I can completely understand. How do we opt a customer in who has wrongly opted out? It might very well be that someone has opted out to texting, but via another channel or because of the circumstances of the insurance process, now they actually would love to text very much. How can we get them into the texting flow via Hi Marley after that's taken place? The individual with whom you're texting needs to reply start to the thread that they've opted out of in order to begin texting. Again, they have said stop, so that's preventing Hi Marley from sending any more messages via our app. Our hands are tied. You might consider using another channel of communication if they've said that they don't want to text, to help them text, to help them know what to do to start up that thread. At Hi Marley, we do recommend that you use texting for as much as you're able for quick exchanging of updates, reminders, media, and more. If they have said that they don't want to, our hands are tied. Consider using one of those other channels to untie those hands and help you to see those 35, 50% reduction in phone call, 60% reduction in voicemails. Great question. It seems like someone was very interested in knowing how to set a message as unread. This is something I do all the time in other apps, so maybe you do as well. In the web application, you can open a case in the chats tab and hover over any message. To the top right, you'll have the option to copy the text or mark the message as unread. Doing so will return the blue dot or notification to the inbox on the right-hand side. It will be filtered and sorted accordingly. Great question. And with that, folks, we are at time. Please do complete the survey if you have not already. Fill in a couple of quick answers there and also put in any questions in the chat that you might have top of mind. Maybe you want to learn more about unread messages. You want to learn more about how you can use templates at your organization. We'll keep this area open for just a little bit longer so you can finish that up. But we just want to thank you all again for joining part 1 of how to up your productivity game in Hi Marley. Really excited that we were able to spend some time together thinking about how we can make insurance more lovable, and hope to see you for part 2. You'll all receive email notifications letting you know that that'll be on its way. So you guys will be able to attend that as well. If you found this session helpful, guaranteed that you'll find the next one to be a huge benefit for you and the work that you're doing. Again, thank you all so very much for joining us. And if you would like to, you can fill out the survey, you can put in questions. And we also will include answers for questions via email if we weren't able to get to it here. We're so grateful for all of your engagement. We will not leave you hanging. So you can put those into the Q&A and we will get back to you. Thank you again so much, everybody, for joining us, for joining me, Carter Bish, for today's Best Practices webinar. Cannot wait to see you all for part 2, and have an excellent day. Happy texting, everyone.